Welcome to Gadgets for Families, the tech podcast for those that always plan on September being the busiest tech support month and sometimes have to leave that shiny new iPhone in the box while trying to help their clients navigate the new OS updates, set up new phones, etc. Jason, we never experienced that in the corporate world, did we?
Oh, all the time.
Yep. And those that really want to learn more about the new OS or the new phone they just got. So this is for all of you. And anyone else looking to get more out of life through tech, I'm your host, Greg Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Jay Benjamin.
All right, Jason, let's move on to our next section. Let's talk about some of the hardware and software reviews that are out there. And I'll let you start. You and I have one hardware review in common, but why don't you start us through these? And I put a few notes in. I can add on for the second one if we want to. So,
right. So I think, so it used to be a point in time, right? Because we started with this like early, right? When doing reviews on devices, there were like 3 or 4 guys that really took off, right? That became legends in the game. John Redinger and a few other people. But now everyone's doing it. Right, at any level. You go into YouTube or wherever you watch reviews and you type in iPhone 15 Pro Max, you will get all the way from the huge companies, right? Your CNETs and your Verges and things like that, all the way down to just a guy holding the phone in his in his room. That the only phone that he saved up to buy, he saved up months for it, and he bought that one phone and he's doing a review on it. And I appreciate all of them, right? But there are certain ones that I'm used to going to. They're my go-tos for things like that. What it used to be The Verge, but I'm not recommending one of these videos this time around. But the first one, so I have 2 for hardware. The first one is going to be CNET, right? And what I like about these CNET reviews is that, man, they give you a real like 4K clear HD quality videos, right? And you can see the phone in different lighting, right? They're good about the guys that do them about having the phone inside and outside, right? They're walking around with them. They're putting them through real life scenarios, and so you can see the phone in different lighting and things like that. But you can also see some of the features that they test out in action, right? They're good about showing shots specifically from that device that they're taking. The different usage and things like that from the features that they announced. So the first one is CNET, and I included the link to the YouTube video. I'm sure it's up on CNET's website, but you're already on YouTube anyway watching us. Click on the link, go to check out CNET's review of the 15 Pro Max. And another one that we watched since the beginning, right? And I talk about these guys that start off in their room with just their camera, and they're talking about Marquise Brownlee, right? He started up to now. His videos are, I mean, they're top notch,
his
right?
production studio is like a whole warehouse.
Yeah. I mean, and he gives those huge companies, CNET and all the other ones, he gives them a run for their money, right? These are really good, the production quality he puts into them. Now, he's one of the ones that brought all devices in all colors, right? There's a few guys that do that. He bought every device in every color, and you can see those. And he actually goes through the unboxing and things like that. So I included his reviews too, his YouTube review.
Yeah, so that's the first one that I watched, and he said it wasn't so much a review as it was kind of an unboxing and a first impressions because he'd only had the devices for like 6 days. But here's my takeaway, and we'll deal with color now.
Yeah.
Pale colors, they're all washed out, right? The 15 models with those pastels, they all came across as washed out, at least the way I was watching it. And I was watching it on a 4K TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when he did the pro models, like the natural titanium and the white, also washed out. I mean, it almost seemed like you couldn't even see the Apple logo on the white one. So I don't know what the problem is with bright colors, right? Because I don't even think they offered a product red in the regular phone this time, did they?
They didn't, which we know is coming. We know
it'll probably be March, but I mean, my favorite iPhone ever was that deep forest green 11
Yes.
Pro Max that I had, right? But
Right.
there basically is no color here. It's like they have an eyedropper and they say this whole production line, we have to use this single eyedropper on every phone in this whole production line,
Yeah.
right? So
Let's make it last.
there's just enough color in there. And now I just don't understand because I don't think it's that hard, right? And in my opinion, at this point, if these are the colors you're going to release, simplify everything and release a
Yes.
single color. Just release like the natural titanium, the most neutral color in the regular phones, and call it good
Right.
because these things are they're just bad, right?
Right.
In my
Right.
opinion. So
I agree. Focus on one color or go back to black and white, right? Focus on your two colors, your black phone and your white phone,
yeah,
right? And then step your bumper game up, step your case game up, right?
yeah,
Do some first party cases with those colors that everyone wants,
yeah,
right? The colors have been downhill, I would say, since the iPhone 13, right? They had those beautiful bold colors, right? My wife has a product red iPhone. My sister-in-law, at the time, she got the blue. They had that really nice blue. Um, and even on the Pro models, they had the really nice colors. And they've been downhill
yeah,
since, right? The 14 were a little bit worse. These are terrible.
yeah.
I think these are the worst colors on the iPhone ever.
Yeah. I mean, that user feedback we got said the blue might as well be gray or black,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
it's so, and the problem usually with black is they're not black. They're
right.
whatever version of Space Gray they come out. Like I'm looking at the 12 Pro version of Space Gray right now. It looks green, right?
Yes,
And the
yeah,
light that I've got it in right now, and not a good green. So,
right,
and so let's sidebar for a second because the other thing they're getting hammered on right now is their new cases, which appear to be complete garbage. I saw a picture of
yes.
the fine woven cases sitting in an Apple store and they had scratches down them, like if somebody had run their finger down them. And
Yep, just to
sometimes
check them
leather
out.
will do that, right? But this is so easy to do on these. They're just not good. So I
Yeah,
saw a headline today that said these cases may turn out to be the biggest whiff of the year. And so fine, you can still get some of the silicone stuff. And I know they're trying
mhm,
to do this environmentally friendly kind of stuff, but these are supposed to be, and they claim it, the most personal devices that we have, right? And they talk about
right,
that for the
right.
phone and the watch. And the Apple Watch Ultra didn't even get a second color this year. I mean, come on, put
Yeah,
black in here, right? You
yeah,
did the black titanium phone, do the black titanium watch too. But anyway, so these are supposed to be able to be the most personal devices that we have. And for a lot
right.
of people, this is their only device, right? Their phone. So let them be
Yeah,
original. And I know there's a huge case market, but I don't want to go with a case this year. I really want to have the natural beauty of these devices because putting aside the
right.
colors, these are amazing
They are.
devices,
They are.
right?
Yeah,
So anyway, I think that's a whiff on colors, and I don't think they did a good job of supplementing the color with cases because I don't think anybody wants to buy them.
right,
So
right. So I did change my mind about one color, and again, this was after I watched CNET's review. I think you and I both agreed that the natural white color just didn't look good, right? It just looked like a dirty iPhone, right? After seeing CNET's review, I kind of changed my mind about that. I'm back to thinking that that natural white should have been the way to go.
yeah.
I think the white one. I did see versions of the white one in better lighting that looked better. So I think you made a good choice. But oh, actually, I'm sorry. I spoiled
No,
your choices that you made.
we told, so they know.
Okay,
We said
but
you're talking about the natural titanium,
the
right?
natural
Not
titanium, yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
not the yeah. So I think that looks better out in the wild than it did on
yeah,
the promotional videos and stuff like that. The promotional pictures and things. So
yeah. So the other thing, Marquez said that yes, it's still going to collect fingerprints, and I've heard both sides of that. It does
yeah.
collect fingerprints, but not as bad. There is a braided cable in the box. It's not color matched, but it is a braided cable. You notice the curves on the sides, the smaller bezels. You notice them at first,
Hmm.
but I think I'm going to notice them because again, I'm going from a 12, right? And so the bezels are a
Right,
lot
right.
smaller. But he says after a while, you just kind of get used to it. Um, you can charge a lightning phone from one of these, so we could
Okay.
plug my 12 into my 15 Pro Max, and it will charge the Lightning one. It's always a one-way charge on that one, which makes sense. If you plug two USB-C iPhones into the other, they talk to each other and figure out which one should charge which. So
Okay.
whichever one's lowest starts to get the charge. And it's only four and a
Now
half watts
that is a
out.
nice touch.
Yeah, it's only 4.5 watts out, so it's going to be super, super slow. But
Yeah.
I mean, if I have a USB C to Lightning cable and we're at an amusement park or something like that, and my wife's like, my phone's dead, I
Right.
can give her some
Right.
juice, right? Because she's got the mini,
Yeah.
so she's got the smallest battery that you can
Yeah.
have, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so those were some of the things I got from his. I would say you can look at iJustine's. Hers was pretty cool. She went down to
Hmm.
Catalina and did some of her testing and stuff there. That one was pretty good as well. But yeah, so at least for now, I'm gonna go watch the
Yeah.
CNET one. I didn't watch that one, and I'm sure I'll watch a few other hardware ones. And if you want to watch a guy unboxing their new iPhone Pro Max when it arrives, watch our channel because I'll do that. I'll be the
Oh
guy
yeah.
that's just got a single phone. They're going, it's nice.
Yep. Until we get to our studio,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and this is I know we don't have it down on the list here, but I wonder what happened with that braided cable, the color match braided cable rumor, right? That didn't come from anywhere. So I'm sure at some point they have been testing that, but it didn't seem cost effective to do. When I heard about it, I'm like, that may have been Steve Jobs' Apple, right, to do something
Yeah.
like that. But I just didn't see him doing it now. So, but I'm wondering, really, it didn't come out of thin air. There probably were cables that they were testing or whatever. But I wonder what forced that decision not to do it.
It could have been test cables. It could have been the ones associated with the Macs that get color, right?
Right, right,
And I mean, all of those things, and they still could be coming. I mean, we know that Apple likes to do like a color refresh of bands and phones and cases and
yeah,
that kind of stuff in the spring. So maybe that kind of stuff comes in the
right,
spring. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that it's a braided cable.
right,
The question will be, do I even pull the braided cable out of the box because I've got my anchor cables,
right, right.
floating around. So,
And
and I'm going to
MagSafe
use MagSafe. So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah.
yeah. And it could have been too. I get it could have been one of those things, like you said, maybe in the spring, and maybe it was never something that was going to be included. Maybe this is just going to be that extra cable that you buy from Apple, and hey, you can
Yeah.
just buy the color of your phone. Maybe it was never intended to be included in the box, but that's a subject for a different show. We'll talk about that another time.
I will tell you
So,
that if I go caseless, which we need to talk about, if I go
mhm.
caseless and in the spring they launch a really good green iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'm going to be so mad.
Yep,
So
yep,
upset because they'll never do it in the fall, right? So even if they launch it in the spring, the 16 won't have that same color,
right,
right? And so then I'm going to be stuck with, do I want to buy this now and then be on the offset yearly upgrade
hmm,
cycle, right? Where I'm trying to upgrade in the spring just because of the color. By then I'll know if I had enough storage space and all that kind of. I'm just going to be mad if they do it. And there's
right.
more rumor now that the mini is going to release later this year. And so it's
Right.
just like, oh, come on, Apple. And we got to talk about some of these struggles I'm having with Apple here in a minute, but they're not making my life easy at the moment.
Right, right. And it's all because they listen to the show and they're like, you know what? Greg wants it. Let's go ahead and release
Yeah, exactly.
that. So yeah, that was all I had for a hardware version. Now, again, I watched tons of videos, but the ones that I wanted to recommend, those were the ones that I wanted to recommend. I think you can get a really good idea of how the phone looks and functions in someone's hands, right? Inside and outside, different features and things like that. So yeah, check the CNET one out. Um, I remember the one you sent me where they tested it out at Disneyland. That was a really good one.
So I have those two. So there's two. I'll skip that. You can come back to your software one. So since you brought it up, I'll
Yeah.
bring up this other one. So 9 to 5 Mac, Tyler Stallman at 9 to 5 Mac, and then TechCrunch, and I can't remember the other guy's name at TechCrunch. So Tyler Stallman has a YouTube video out for 9 to 5 Mac that's all about. It is about the phone, but it's mostly about the camera
Hmm.
And like he is shooting walking along the street with action mode turned on and showing how
Yes.
bumpy it is going back and forth, and then he shows you the cleaned up version because it fixes all of that.
Yep.
So that one is really good. And then, like I said, go to TechCrunch. You can see Disneyland's review. That might be the last one we get for TechCrunch on that, because I understand the gentleman that does those Disneyland reviews every year is leaving TechCrunch.
Oh, okay.
So,
Let's
but
start his own
those,
thing.
I don't know, we'll see, right?
Okay.
But those two reviews, if you want to see what the camera can do, it's really good. Now, the good thing about the
Right.
Disneyland one is he's really reviewing camera, yes, but he's also, it's his payment method, it's his ticket, it's his
Right.
how do I check status in line. So he's also testing the battery of the Max, right? And how long can the battery go? And he's got multiple phones there going with him and all that kind of stuff. And Disneyland is just a great place to test that. So when it
That is the
comes,
perfect place to
yeah,
test it. Yeah.
let's go. Um, so yeah, so those both of those 9 to 5 Mac, Tyler Stallman, and then TechCrunch's Disneyland one. There's YouTube videos for both of those.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch them both again, especially the
Yes.
Disneyland run, because it's just so good.
Right. When you send it to me that night, I'm looking at it and like, I know it's amazing being there, but looking at video and pictures from that phone, I mean, it gives you an idea of how beautiful the colors are there, and just the environment around, and the detail and stuff like that. Yeah, that was a really good review. So if you really want to see what that camera can do, I think we both recommend that video.
Yep, absolutely. But tell us about software. You and I have the same one on our list for software, but you
Yeah.
gotta buckle in for this one, right?
Right, right. This one I believe is called iOS 17, the movie. So Brandon Butch is a YouTuber, and he's up and coming. He's one of the new guys that's making that transition from being small time guy to really giving awesome production value when he does his reviews and his tips and tutorials and things like that. So he has a 2.5, well, no, not 2.5, 2 hour, 15-minute feature length film on all the features available that's new in iOS 17. I mean, and he is really detailed. It
It's
took me a few days
it's
to get
every
through it.
change, right? It isn't just
Everything.
features. It's, hey, this font on this particular setting screen is a little different, or they changed this
Right,
button, right?
right,
It is ridiculous. I had to watch it on 2x and skip around because it just was so
right,
much
right.
content.
So he says in the beginning too to grab snacks or whatever. And it just so happened that my wife and I both were sitting in the living room and we had snacks. She had her M&Ms. I had some popcorn or something like that. And I'm like, hey, that's funny. So I snapped a picture of the snacks and sent it to Greg.
It was
So
great.
yeah, buckle in for this one. It is a long watch. Again, YouTube, if you're logged in, it saves your spot, your progress or whatever, so you can go in and out and watch it. But if you have 15, 20 minutes to spare before you're heading out, I would say watch the first 20 minutes of it. Let it pause, let it stop, come back to it in the evening or something like that. It took me a couple of days to go through. Um, if you have 2 hours and 15 minutes to sit and watch all the way through, then hey, by all means, to knock that out. But uh, it is really thorough. It is really good as far as the details and stuff he put into it. The production value is really good. It's not using a shaky cam or anything like that, and um, he's pretty charismatic too,
Yeah.
right? You can listen to this guy, you can understand him clearly, which is I know a lot of people that complain about some of the reviewers and stuff like that. When I read the comments, it's always about having trouble understanding them and the pronunciation and stuff. And this guy is really good, so
Yeah.
check him out, Brandon Butch. Also, not this video because he has, just like everyone else, he has those 25 features you should change right away, or the top 10 features. And this is what I believe the top 5 features are. So he has those quick, short videos that you can watch. But this particular one that I'm recommending, 2 hours, 15 minutes. It's quite a ride, but it is a good
Yeah.
one.
And then I think the other one, if you don't want to watch the feature length film, if you want to read and be able to read chunks, because I do sometimes better with reading and having my device and playing with it at the same time. I did that with the
Right.
video too, but MacStories.net, Federico Vitici's annual iOS and iPadOS 17 reviews.
Hmm.
You definitely want to go into those. Now, the good thing about those is that's more of how do I do things with them? Not just what's changed, but this is what you can do with them. And that's where I found like Widget Pod was mentioned in
Yes.
there. And he talks a lot about some other stuff. So those,
Okay.
I think that's the other one. And actually, you can buy it as an ebook. You can get his review as an ebook and not just read it on the web. But then
Okay.
also,
Does Gurman still do that?
I don't know if
Gurman
Gurman
used to
does
do
it
that, right?
anymore. I don't think he does. You know, he's doing
Okay.
all that writing for the fancy Bloomberg stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the other cool thing: if you've loaded iOS 17, you can go to the MacStories.net and have it read Federico's
Yes.
review to you too, right? So,
Right. Right. That was our tip from last week. Something that I was really surprised to see, and I've used it a couple of times since then. So really good.
all right. So I want to get one more in here,
Okay.
um, because it's going to lead into a conversation that we got to have. So iFixit. If you don't know what iFixit is, they tear down these things and they provide kits to repair them and all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So they've done their annual thing, and it's a mixed bag on the repairability of the new iPhones. Apparently, some parts are easier, but then they've also started pairing parts together, so you can't replace one without replacing the other, which makes them harder to
Right.
repair. Blah blah
Right.
blah blah blah. Here's the thing, they're also saying that the titanium is more vulnerable to scratches than the stainless steel was.
Mm, that's not good to hear.
No. Now, to be seen, right? People have only had these for a week. But I have also seen articles, and I haven't watched the videos. I haven't dared watch the videos because sometimes they make me want to throw up.
Hmm.
That the back glass is much easier to shatter on the
Wow.
15 series than previous ones have been.
That is definitely not good news because that is one of the most expensive parts to replace,
Well,
is
it's
that
come
back
down in
glass.
price. I think it's now like $200 instead of 500. It used to be
Right.
500 to replace it. Now I think it's like 200 because it's a single piece of glass now and not
Yeah.
all of
The
this
thing they did with
ribbon.
the
Yeah, yeah,
camera
yeah.
bump and all of that.
Yep.
Right.
But here's the
Still, 200
conversation.
bucks is,
Now I've got Apple Care Plus. Remember, I bought Apple
yes.
Care Plus with this, and so it's what is it like $69 for each case of accidental damage
Right.
that you want to deal with, right? Um, but I now have to raise the question, should I really be going caseless with this new phone if those sides are going to scratch easier because I've taken chunks out of the sides on my current one and it drives
Yes.
me absolutely bonkers, and if that back glass is going to be much more vulnerable to
Hmm.
being shattered, I wanted to go caseless and I bought Apple Care Plus so that I could go caseless, right?
Right.
So now the question becomes, is that still a good idea, or am I going to be regretting that because every 3 months I'm going to be spending another
$60
$69
bucks. Right.
to go in
Right.
and have the glass replaced? And just remember, I have to drive because Apple Care Plus does not express replace the back glass. You can't have them ship you a new device. You have to take it into a store.
You
So
have
I
to go
have
to
to
the
drive
store.
up
Right.
there. So what the heck am I going to do now? I really want to go caseless and just put
Right.
a
Right.
skin, even if it's a clear skin on it. But am I going to be running the risk? Now, I've never had to use Apple Care on a phone in years. I think maybe
Hmm.
once or twice early on, but I haven't had to. So now I'm back to this debate on, do I go in and cancel my Apple Care Plus, right? And then go
Hmm.
spend $80 on a really, really nice, durable, but thin as I can get it case,
Right. Right.
or do I stick with my current plan and try and go caseless, or am I doing something completely different? I don't know the answer
Right.
to this now. The reader that got their phone said they dropped it, but it was in the case and it was just fine. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking of when I damaged this current one was because it slid off of a table that was only less than a foot off the ground and hit the concrete and took chunks out of the stainless steel rails. If the
Yeah.
titanium's more susceptible to that, I'm like, oh,
It would have been horrible.
what would have
Yeah.
happened there, right? So
So
I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So this is what I think, and this is what I would do. Greg, I'm your personal IT guy, so let me give you my opinion on what I think you should do. I think you should keep the Apple Care Plus, right? But instead, and the reason why I know you take care of all your devices, right? We mentioned in a past show, I've got devices from Greg that were 2 years old that were spotless, like brand new. So I know you take care of your devices. So keep your Apple Care Plus, but instead of going caseless, maybe we should consider some thicker skins, right? Because we talked about like skin it or something like that. Um, you were thinking about some of the clear or the matte colors or things like that, but the colors didn't pan out like we thought that anyone thought that the colors were going to pan out to. So maybe go with some of the wood grain textured ones or something like that, right? And then some of those like they make the ones for the side and the
Yeah.
buttons and stuff like that. Now those usually don't last months, like some of the more expensive ones do, but I think you should go that route. I think you should still go caseless because you want to, but just add a little more protection, but not a thin little, Amazon case or a clear case. And, all those things, they yellow after a couple
Yeah.
of months anyway, right? So, uh, those clear cases, I don't really recommend unless you're going to buy two or three of them. So keep your Apple Care, still go caseless, but and then on top of all of that, when you go camping or you're doing something like that, you're going to have a
I
both your
have the
case on,
case. I
right?
already have the
Yeah,
case for that, right? I
yeah.
have the
So
one with
and
the
it has the
sliding
nice
window.
sliding cover.
Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
sliding cover over the window, which I really like. I really like you being able to close that window and set your phone on the back and stuff. Um,
Protect that
but that's
camera a
that's
little
my
more.
opinion. Yeah, yeah, to
Yeah,
protect
so
those lenses.
I told you this. I did start looking into back because they have back glass protectors, right? Just like they
Right,
have the screen
right.
protectors that are the what's the kind of glass it is? Anyway, I can never remember what the
Yeah,
type of
the
glass it is.
Corning, Gorilla Glass or something
No,
like
these are
that.
the screen protectors. They don't shatter, right?
Oh,
They
the protectors. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, they have those for the back of the screen, and I actually ordered some and then canceled my
Mhm.
order because I started reading through some of the details on one of them, and they said, now note that these screen protectors only connect on the edges. And the reason they're
Right.
only sticky on the edges is because it's a matte texture on the back of these phones.
Hmm.
And the concern is that if you sticky them over, it's going to look like it's bubbled, right?
Yes.
Or it's not going to stick well, or whatever the reason is. So they pointed that out because I thought, oh, well, I'll just solve this, right? I'll get the old school Zag style stuff to go around the edges to protect the titanium, and I'll just put
Right.
the same glass, right, on the front and the back, and
Hmm.
call it good. And then I read that and I was like, oh, I don't want it to look like garbage. That kind of defeats the
Right.
whole point of going
Right.
caseless in the first place. And then I also don't want it to peel off easy or any of those kinds of things. So
Right.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see tempered glass. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's the tempered glass
That
screen
right.
protectors
Tempered
that we
glass.
use on the front and the back. And so I don't know. I guess I'll see what it looks like and maybe get some super, super cheap ones that I can throw one on, and
Right.
if it sticks well, then I could still put a skin over the top, right, to change the
That's the main
color or the
thing.
texture or anything.
Right.
So yeah, because I really do want to go caseless. My those that I have told that I was doing this, like I told my sister I was going to go caseless, and she's like,
Right.
that's crazy. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess we'll see.
So I'm with you on that. That was the main thing too, my issue. And I would always buy those cheap, those inexpensive skin, stickers or whatever on Amazon. I mean, and they were lint magnets, right? It looked great when you put them on, but I mean, in and out of your pocket a few hundred times. You know what I mean? It around the edges, they start to peel, they'll bubble. If anything gets in between those edges, it's never gonna lay down, it's never gonna stick again. And it was always like pocket lint or dust or something like that. So yeah, I guess you have to balance too whether how good it's going to stick to the back of that,
Yeah.
with that matted texture on it. So yeah, I still think you should go caseless. You're right. I think you should keep your Apple Care, but I do see the benefits in saving that
99
149
bucks.
bucks,
No, it's
199
199.
bucks. Right, right.
Again, so
Yeah,
I mean, if I want to, one of the biggest reasons I get Apple Care Plus is for express replacement, so I don't have to drive up to the
right.
store. But if the
And
two
there's no
most
express.
if the two most likely things to happen are I damage the screen or the back glass, and they won't express replace those, I still have to either ship them in or take them to store to get them fixed.
Right.
Either way, I don't know.
Yeah,
so
it may not be worth it for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Right.